Football cards, collecting and investing. It is each and every week right here on the QuestCast. Tuesdays at 1:30 Central. His name is Andy. My name is Carter. And today we're going to help you not make the mistakes that Andy made and I made early in our card collecting journey. But even if you're 3 to 5 to even 20 years into it, Andy, you learn about new mistakes that you may or may not make every single day. I have made a few regretful buys. I've been a little bit better in this past year. But yeah, Andy, today what we want to do is take a lot of questions. If people have any questions about football card buying, investing, or anything like that. But Andy, you see the thumbnail. Let the people know what we are going to go through today, baby.
Well, the main differences between fantasy football and sports cards is all the different variations of sports cards that you could possibly get into. And what I want to talk about, Carter, is not just specific players that I think that people should be fading, or like a specific rules that when you look at these rules, they actually, you develop buckets of players that you can really avoid altogether. But then also talk about their cards, because a lot of times people are presented with a really rare card. Maybe it's a 1 of 1, maybe it's a gold out of 10, and they're saying, hey, I'll sell you this gold out of 10. Here's this really rare card. It's in auction. It's maybe ending for only $200 to $300. Is this the best time of year to buy it, even though this player is potentially a fade? Is there a point to where a card gets cheap enough that it doesn't matter who the player is or how they're going to start out the season or how good they're going to do in 2023, that you buy it anyways? That's I think the main difference maker between sports cards and fantasy football.
I agree. And one thing, when you join the football card Patreon, links are down below. There is an app called Keep 'em that you get access to. And what that could do is it can give you good chart. It's how we use our chart information here on the Quest. And that way you could tell the peaks and valleys of certain types of cards. And Andy, I don't look at that stuff as much as you do, but I do know this. And this is something that I have seen anecdotally. Gold number to 10 cards is where it's at, baby. Black finite 1 of 1s are just so freaking rare to get. But if you do get one, we've talked a lot on this channel about how powerful that card can be. But Andy, I've gotten some big offers on a Marcus Colston gold number to 10 card that I bought from a hobby shop for $10. And I just don't know if I'm ever going to get rid of it, because I don't have a lot of gold number to 10 stuff because it is so unbelievably rare. So I just got to be real with you. People love gold number to 10. It makes people feel a certain type of way. That's part of the reason why I'm wearing a gold Jordan shirt here today, because I wanted to talk about that. And it doesn't matter the player. I mean, there's people out there that are set building, and Andy, they are looking for one of those 10 prints that are out there in existence. So this would be something that I would share as far as football cards, collecting, investing, and all that stuff. If you walk into any shop or you see anything gold number to 10, and that card is less than $20, that, I mean, you're going to, need to get really lucky if that's the case. But if that's less than 30, 40, 50, if it's a player who's kind of decent, I would go on ahead and snatch it.
And see, that's what I find so interesting, because a prime example is a guy like Alvin Kamara, that he's a clear fade for me, not just his age, but also the whole suspension thing looming over his head with his whole criminal investigation that's going on. And, bringing in Jamal Williams, you draft Kendra Miller, and just right. Probably an offense that's they're probably gonna, I don't know what the game script is going to be like for them throughout the year, but I can see a lot of situations where they're leaning more heavily on the passing game anyways. But I digress. I still think Alvin Kamara is a fade, but is there a point, like you can see here, week over week, graded Alvin Kamara sold volume is up 800%. To 9 graded cards. So it's like, is there a point to where a rare graded card, or just a rare raw card, a gold card, a Kaboom, a Downtown, any of these super popular rare cards get presented cheap enough that you buy it, even though you have all these concerns around a player that's got a looming suspension over it, and the age. So that's like one of my big rules for fading players specifically, especially when we're talking dynasty, is like a running back over age 28 that's got, about 10,000 or more carries in their career. And then, I look at, looming suspensions is never a good thing, especially that raises character red flags for the hobby as well. So just not as desirable or demanded. But once again, man, if you get a super rare card, does it really matter?
Yeah, and we welcome in a few people watching this live. Derek, who is here each and every week. Dahl, good to see you in Terstall. Good to see you, James. Jonathan Taylor Cards. Our guy Sean is in the chat today. Mr. T and Basic Wholesale Cards. Gotta love it. And this is something that's really cool about the QuestCast. Jonathan Taylor Cards, Sean, has become one of my really good buddies. Can't freaking wait to meet him at the National. Look, he's a Jonathan Taylor super collector. He's gotten some pretty cool stuff in the mail recently. So shout out to you. But yeah, I mean, I am just a fanatic of just anything numbered to 10 or 1 of 1. Any card that's numbered is what I like to see. But Andy, I'm a little shocked, man. You bust out the Alvin Kamara hatred at the beginning of this. You're tearing you're tearing up my heart when I'm with you. Man, I miss the boy band days. But yes, it seems like AK-41's downturn is just around the corner.
Yeah, and he just did, with you bringing up Marcus Colston and just the whole conversation around fading guys, and then I saw that his graded volume was up that much over the past week compared to the week before. He's one of those guys that falls into that bucket of slow start to the season and or not playing a complete season, plus over the age apex. And I get it, man. 1 of 1 PSA 10 Black Finite sold just was this 2 weeks ago for $2,025. It's hard to turn down something not only 1 of 1 and from Prism, but also in a PSA 10 grade, even if it is Alvin Kamara. And I think that's where you've got to ask yourself. You got to draw the line. And I think you ultimately, Carter, I think you've got to ask yourself, what is your goal? Like, what's your time frame for trying to get out of this card, or are you even trying to get out of it? Do you even want to get out of it? Or are you just willing to bite this bullet and put it on your wall and have it for the rest of your life, kind of thing, and hand it down to the kids?
Yeah, I'm going through this right now, Andy. Like, I'm a Tyrann Matthew super collector, right? I know when I look at Ed Reed's prices and when I look at Troy Polamalu's prices, they're not astronomical like, some of the other legendary quarterbacks or just other position players in general. I understand that while Tyrann's playing, it's probably smart for me to move off of some of this stuff, but it's just hard. It is just hard. I'm going to have to just to have some extra liquid money or just money for me to spend at the National, because I am accumulating quarterback legendary game use patches. So if you have anything like that, feel free to reach out. I am looking to kind of sort of buy, but I'm waiting for the National as well. But yeah, I stay away from running backs. I just do. And I hate that because, Andy, we grew up, running backs were the thing, right? I grew up watching Barry Sanders. I grew up loving some of these lower cut running backs, but like the Jamal Charles, the Jamal Lewis's, Chris Johnsons, there were so many just elite running backs that just never had a long enough career lifespan to even generate any kind of Hall of Fame buzz. So yeah, I'm just staying away from running backs in general. And I understand that, once again, you see the thumbnail, the images, it's just so hard. It is so freaking hard to, see long-term growth. And Andy, let me ask you this, since we do have a Jonathan Taylor super collector watching this right now, it's kind of scary thing, when you see some of these running backs just peter off so quickly.
Oh, it absolutely is a scary thing. I know Sean he's a collector first and foremost. And he's probably okay with taking those to the grave or handing them down long time from now to his kids. So he's not so much concerned. But I know that I'm sure if he bought in at the end of Jonathan Taylor's rookie year, I mean, there was definitely a peak in Jonathan Taylor prices, and at the beginning of 2021, after that rookie season, he was the number one RB taken in a lot of fantasy drafts. He was also had arguably the most expensive rookie ticket autos, right next to Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley and stuff. So, and he lost a lot of value last year. So I think now you look at Jonathan Taylor as potentially a value. And that is actually one of my other rules I wanted to talk about, Carter, is a player coming off of an injury, not a minor injury, but a serious ACL surgically repaired knee type injury, i.e. Breece Hall on the New York Jets. Look at some of these values for Breece Hall rookie cards right now. And the thing is, you got to stay grounded during this time when you're not getting a lot of news, and they're not even playing with pads on. They're running around out there with shorts, and Breece Hall was recently clocked at 22 miles an hour in a straight line, but that's not lateral quickness. That's not cutting. Right. And, that's not with the pads on in a situation where a linebacker is wrapping them up kind of thing. So I think you got to stay grounded. You got to put some filters on who you want to target. Don't get caught up in a lot of this like news, hype generated news that's being leaked right now for players specifically like Breece Hall. I think he has gotten pretty expensive. He's part of the Aaron Rodgers hype train that's hitting the New York Jets, and he was very good in his debut last year, but he is coming off an ACL tear and surgery, and he should have a slow start to the season. I think the best time to buy guys like this, and Javonte Williams goes in the same bucket, and Kyler Murray, talking about quarterbacks, is in November. Because that is when we know that there is a big dip in football prices across the board for a lot of players.
So let's get to a few comments. We appreciate all the love. Let's start here with Andy. We want first timers to feel welcome, and so we shout out all our usuals. I see Chad, I see Cody, I see Derek, Adam, Hector, Mr. T. But I want you to put this comment up from Randy. Almost a year ago, this channel made me aware of the Eagles' schedule and that it might be a good time to buy Jalen Hurts cards. I was all in, and I'm extremely grateful that you guys are here. So there you go. Yeah, Jalen's always just kind of been one of our guys. Yeah, I mean, you could, and once again, we appreciate the comment, Randy, but you can go back and listen. Andy in particular, but me as well. Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts, we were all in on those guys, and if you bought then, it paid off. And there was a time when Jalen Hurts rookie Prism PSA 10s, Andy, were going for $55. That is still absolutely insane. And Jalen's prices are still very interesting. Obviously I'm a Burrow guy. I think Burrow's better than Jalen Hurts. And, the card price discrepancy is pretty large, though, between the two of them, Andy.
Yeah, it really is, Carter. I've seen, the volume's been healthy, but for the rare stuff of Jalen Hurts is just still such a massive disparity between him and Herbert. And I mean, I get it that Joe Burrow is at $2,500 a pop per rookie ticket auto. I mean, I think he's the next guy right behind Mahomes right now in the NFL. But in terms of just like overall success and desirability by the hobby, but people are right there on Justin Herbert as well. I get it. I mean, Justin Herbert broke records as a rookie, and he's looked incredible. So it's hard to doubt his talent, and he's definitely done a lot with like lackluster talent around him. And I mean, the future's really bright. So from a dynasty perspective, I mean, you got to be really excited, especially from a hobby perspective. But people are still paying a lot more for his rare stuff than they are for Jalen Hurts. But on the base PSA 10 stuff, it's neck and neck. It's the same $150, $200 price point on the Prism PSA 10s. The Optic PSA 10s, the Donruss PSA 10s are a little bit behind that. It's all neck and neck between those two guys. And Burrow's like $50 to $100 ahead of them.
Yeah, it was interesting, and we didn't expect to talk about Jalen, but I actually went back and looked at his 2016 reps versus LSU and how bad he was in that game, and then you go back and look at Joe Burrow 2018 versus Alabama, how bad he was in that game, and it's just amazing how much those quarterbacks have grown, right? Pre-2019 for both of them, there was no hype. You would have never thought that those two guys would be two of the best quarterbacks in the sport now. But those guys put in the work, and they're at the top of the mountain behind Mahomes and all those guys right now. But yeah, Jalen is so good. And even if you're not a big believer in Jalen, ask yourself this question. I know he lost his OC, but do you really think he's going to fail with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith and Jason Kelsey's back? That offensive line's back. The NFC East, I think it's going to get better across the board, but the Eagles are still those BAMFs in that division. It's hard to not see the Eagles being very good. And Jalen also, won a lot of people, their fantasy leagues, even though he was hurt in the playoff weeks. We're just big Jalen people here. We really do think he is very, very good. And as Hector points out here, Eagles have such a big fan base. Hurts undervalued. And to go along with that, Cody said Hurts is one of my biggest misses. I've refused to collect and hold him in 2020. Cody's an LSU guy, so trust me, it's hard for LSU fans to buy anybody Bama. But yeah, man, Jalen could really play. Now, Andy, my question for you, and we've talked some running backs here. Is there a quarterback that is interesting you even more as we move towards next season?
I think one of the biggest values in the entire hobby right now. I don't know. I want to invest more into this guy, and it's Geno Smith, man. I don't know. Geno Smith is really interesting me because he is he is so undervalued, I think, and there's so much scarcity around specifically his rookie cards, and there's such little of it actually graded. And he did so good, and it's not just a small sample. I mean, his sample last year was bigger than Brock Purdy's. I don't see anybody fading Brock Purdy. In fact, I see the hype only picking up for Brock Purdy. The only difference there is, Brock Purdy is much younger, right? He's only in his second year. Geno was a first-round draft pick from 2013, so people loved him back then, and they loved him at West Virginia, right? They're loving him again now because of how well he did. If he goes out and has another start, I mean, the Seahawks now, their wide receiver trio between adding JSN, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett, I mean, it's incredible, man. So very bullish on Geno Smith compared to what his rookie ticket auto values are. If I could get a Brock Purdy rookie ticket auto for $50, I would, but I can get a Geno Smith one for $50. And it's a lot more rare, and that presents a nice upside there. I'm not saying it's the same upside as Purdy, but there is definitely upside there, and I feel like it's a pretty safe play. I feel like it's a good play for 2023 specifically.
Wow. I also like Geno because I just love 2013 rookie cards. I just do. That's what I collect the most. But yeah, we talked a lot about Geno in recent episodes. I want to scroll back up here, Andy, before we move on to our next topic, because this is a very good question from Basic Wholesale Cards. You got to scroll up. We appreciate you being patient. Basic Wholesale Cards. Once again, if you super chat, we go straight to your question. So if you're busy or at work and you want to get a question in, we will immediately go straight to it because the money helps Andy and all his research that he provides on this channel. You think that freshman or sophomore Bowman Chrome first auto prospecting has flipping prospecting potential of buying while they are cheap and unhyped? Part of the reason why I didn't get to this question sooner is because we have chatted so much Bowman U recently. But Andy, the answer to this is yes, because we got not one, but two people currently watching this right now who made some pretty good bank doing this. Derek and I believe Chad. Chad's one of the best flippers on this channel. Those guys did it. They saw the wave, and they crushed it. They just did, according to them. And I trust those guys. So, yeah, Andy, there is big potential there.
Yeah, that's it, man. And you stay grounded. You don't get caught up in what's currently super hot, what's super hyped up. You don't look at that stuff. You stay grounded, thinking, okay, who's actually a good athlete? Who's projected to have good draft capital? We're looking for first-round draft picks. We're looking for talented players that have a really good, whether it's a quarterback and they have a high level of accuracy and efficiency, plus maybe some mobility, and they have a good win-loss record. So they got like a good head on their shoulders and they're in a good situation. And then they get that draft capital behind them. Those are great prospects. Or, the running backs, their height adjusted speed score, and start looking at how efficient they are in forcing missed tackles and breaking away long runs. And then you look at wide receivers and look at how good they are at route running and separating against defenders, and then winning contested catches. And the defenders, look at how many sacks they're getting, how quickly they're getting to the quarterback, the QB pressures. What about, corners getting interceptions, and look at those storylines. And yeah, absolutely. Like, stay focused on those core metrics and stay grounded and focus on that, and let that kind of dictate your decisions in which players to buy and invest in. Because from there, Carter, you can go to eBay or wherever. Maybe it's a card show, maybe it's eBay, maybe it's a card shop, and you can then just look for that player and see what the market gives you, or look for that bucket of players and see what the market gives you. And heck, you may find a gold or a rare rookie ticket auto, whatever the case may be, something rare. I think the common denominator we figured out that holds the best long-term value are those rookie autographs, specifically on card, and the rare serial numbered stuff. So from there, maybe then you can find a good deal, regardless of, hey, is this guy trending on Twitter right now, or regardless if he's getting hyped up a lot, it makes sense to buy him.
Hector makes a good point. Trick for Bowman first is to flip them before they get their pro uniform cards. This isn't baseball. As much as I am a college uniform guy and a college football guy, he's right. That's all there is to it. He's right. Not only simply because people like pro uniform stuff more, it's just simple supply and demand, right? It's just more stuff of that person just being out there as well. Andy, let's go to this comment. Yes, perfect. So this would be my thing. Let's just say Geno Smith goes out there and he's not good. He's Mitch Trubisky and Jameis Winston this next year, and he's not. Or let's just say he is that bad. I don't think he's going to be that bad. I think he's going to be pretty good. Look at this. This is what $60 that I don't know how to say your name correctly. Dahl. I'm just going to say Dahl. It's a $60, right? In the grand scheme of things, $60. It is something, but you got super rare Geno autos for only $60, right? Like Sam Howell rookie autos right now are going for $200. Same thing with Desmond Ritter, $200. Zach Wilson, $500 last year. So, let's just say Geno sucks. $60, Andy. That's all this was right here. $60.
And it's a great move, because not only do you have upside, really good upside for 2023, but think about it, man. Like I said, he's a first round draft pick from 2013. He showed enough last year. He also showed enough in college. There's NFL teams like you, and early second round. I just pulled him up as early second. I thought Geno was drafted the first round, but early second round. So there's NFL teams value that a lot, and he'll get more opportunities. So even after his additional 1-year contract with the Seahawks or whatever, he's got another potential to go somewhere else and get a starting quarterback job to gain more hype and more fans, more collectors. There's a lot of spike potential and plus they're really rare. Like, they're rare, man. There's not a lot of 2013 cards, especially from the good sets like Prism and first year select from 2013, even like the Topps X Fractors and some of those like the Bowman Chrome set from 2013 is really nice. So I think there's a lot of potential there, and then a very, very low graded market. So you've got a big potential to get cards like the 2013 select hot rookies that's got it's got almost a 90%. It's between 80 and 90% PSA 10 hit rate on that raw card from that specific set. They just made those 2013 first year selects with such high quality that there's such a high PSA 10 rate on them.
Plus, people love comeback stories, baby. I love I you don't get this rise from the ashes kind of quarterback story all too often. So look, we're not telling you that he's going to be Patrick Mahomes next year, but man, they first round draft capital on a really good wide receiver, the first wide receiver selected at pick number 20. I mean, I just like Geno going into next year. Their offensive line should be better. Uh, Not only first round draft capital, Andy, on a quarterback, but second round capital on a running back. I mean, he's got weapons, and if this doesn't work, then so be it, right? It's smart. $60 is not really anything in the grand scheme of things. Annoy brings up that SCI. Who's SCI?
Sports
23.
card investor.
Okay. 20. Oh, I saw this. 23K on a Desmond Ritter. I remember
Oh,
he held it at like a beach or something like that, and he held it over a thing. $23,000.
I hope he didn't claim that was for investment purposes because that's a terrible buy if so. I mean, look, what's to say that the Falcons don't? I mean, they could finish 3-14 this year, and Bijan Robinson still be the leading rusher in the NFL. So there's still going to be hype for Bijan, but they could finish 3-14 and then go draft Caleb Williams in 2024. I mean, he's a third round draft pick out of a class where Kenny Pickett was the first round draft selection. I just don't see the hype for Desmond Ritter, who wasn't even that accurate in college. Plus, he's on a run first team. Like the guy's not that good. I'm sorry to Falcons fans,
Ooh.
but I know you're a college football expert, Carter. You saw him face plant in the college football playoffs 2 years ago, so I'm sure you're very familiar with his college profile.
Yeah.
And then the only reason why I see that he went ahead of in the third round ahead of guys like Sam Howell is because of his straight line speed that he showed off at the combine.
Yeah, and it's not fast enough to be a good runner in the NFL. He has some throws that are breathtaking. He really does. And I just don't think he's that great. I totally agree with you, Andy. And look, I'll defend the Alabama playoff performance because Will Anderson just went ham in that game. But, truth be told, he's just not that great of a college or NFL quarterback, in my estimation. But yeah, I would sell on the hype, before the season because Atlanta, big market, they're a team that is desperate to have a winner, and they're all systems go with Ritter. Let's see here. This is always very interesting. Let's get to a comment that we have not put up on the screen. Let's go to Jonah Horal. Justin Fields' second-year card's a good long-term investment. I'm priced out of his rookie cards.
Well, so I will say if you're going for second-year cards, Jonah, that you definitely want to go for super rare stuff because I do see people buying they're Justin Fields super collectors. You better believe there are Justin Fields super collectors. Yeah. Here's one right here. Late Stick is a Justin Fields super collector. And so he's going to pursue his rare cards from every year, not just his rookie year, also veteran year. So if he's doing it, other guys are doing it as well. I know my co-host on our Thursday night show, Steve, he also is a big collector of Justin Fields and will go after his second and third year cards. But it's always the rare stuff. Like I don't see a strategy around unless he becomes, you look at guys like Tom Brady. Yeah, okay. And now this is, even like more common stuff from second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth year are desirable. They're demanded. They go for more than just a couple dollars. But in Justin Fields' case, it's you're really going to want to target that rare stuff.
I agree. I like Justin going into next year. But yeah, I in any. With that, you just need to look at rare stuff for second, third, and so on and so on and so on. Let's go to James. Booklets, trash or treasure, Andy?
I'm oftentimes tempted by a booklet, and then I always like click off of them. And I've seen some booklets that have been at decent prices, like right on the fringe, like $100. Yeah, it's got this big patch on one side. It's typically got a big on-card auto on the other side, and they're tempting. But the one thing that scares me that I think they're more trash is as the patch could not even be from that player, right? I mean, the
Right.
patch is not game worn. It's not authenticated in that way. So the patch to me is more or less useless. It's worthless to me. And then those big fat booklets, they just get bad dinged up corners and stuff because they're so fat. Like it's hard to store them anything. You got to have those special extra big like one
Oh, I
touches
bet, yeah.
specifically for booklets to store them properly to keep them preserved. And they just get, most of the time you're buying them off of eBay and they're raw like that. Some guy has, opened and closed that little booklet a bunch of times already, and it's already been dinged up a few times. Heck, it could come dinged up out of the pack just because of how fat they are. And for the prices that I see them going for most of the times, I'm just like, no, thank you. I'd rather take the money I could get a rare booklet for and invest that in a out of 99 immaculate, out of 99 national treasures, out of 50 or 25 flawless if they're going for the same prices. I'd rather have cards from those sets or even optic rookie ticket autos, Carter. I would rather have those than the booklet.
I mean, you can go to card shows and you could see displays for days and you rarely see booklets. Like, I just feel like that is one of those eBay only kind of situations, right? And that's where it gets very interesting. I'm just out on booklets. It's just not my thing unless the patch in there is just so unbelievably filthy. But nothing makes me queasy more than a napkin patch in a booklet, Andy. That just it just doesn't look great at all. The mag was $13. There you go. So, for those that are listening on, audio, booklet is basically just a card that folds open, right? Now, I will say, Andy, Leaf and some other people have produced like these epic 16 autograph booklets that are just absolutely absurd, and it's got all these legend signatures on it. Cool. Okay. Those are obviously really cool. But then again, how do you want to display that? How do you even, is there even a one touch you could put that in? How do you even ship something like that? I don't know. You tell me. But look, a one of one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a printing plate. One of one. Look at
Yeah,
that.
instead of spending 23K on Desmond Ritter, here's a guy that I would invest in, and I think that his best prices. I think he's great right now. Compare him to Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. Throw in like Jahan Dotson, Treylon Burks, like paint a first round wide receiver picture from last year, and look at where Drake London, who was the first wide receiver taken in the draft. The guy's an incredible route runner. He's just a great wide receiver. I really like watching Drake London play, and I think he's going to be great long term in the NFL. And so this supersedes his rookie contract, I think, in the current situation on the Falcons. He's a guy that I definitely want to invest in. He's a guy that checks all those boxes, unlike Desmond Ritter. And I wouldn't. I mean, this is a one of one, so it is a big fat booklet. But for $300, I don't know if I could get into a one of one, but I could definitely get into an out of 25 or out of 50 flawless national treasures, optic rookie ticket auto type of deal. And I think I'd just rather have that than this.
Let's go to Mr. T, who's been very active. CD Lamb, Andy, your thoughts on CD?
Whew. Well, I mean, CD's teed up for a monster season. I think you're going to have a lot of passing volume from the Cowboys this year. And after what CD did last year, I think he's teed up for a monster season. Obviously, I'm not as bullish on him as I'd rather have Jamar Chase over CD Lamb. Hey, I think there's a lot of coaching issues in Dallas. I'm not sure that they can get over the hump on actually winning the playoffs. Like Dak has become one of these enigmas, like almost like a Kirk Cousins, where he doesn't have that first round draft capital, yet he has played well. He has stepped up. He has played well, but they have not been able to overcome playoff challenges. They haven't been able to get there, man. Not even a championship game. So I think that's where. And CD is a phenomenal people. Like, he's got a lot of demand. People are going to continue to buy him. I don't see his prices going up a whole lot more compared to where they're at, because they are pretty high, Carter. They're up there, like fairly close to Justin Jefferson. I mean, they're not too far behind his. So I look at those guys almost in the same lens, and from a hobby perspective, because Cowboys have a bigger fan base. They have more collectability, yet Justin Jefferson has proven a little bit more, So I look at him with the same lens, honestly, from a hobby perspective. And I think, hey, if you can get a great deal on him, then heck yeah, man, go ahead. He's a great player. But to buy in at the current prices, he's almost like one of those guys. I'm going to wait till November and see how the team's doing and see if he's going to be subject to a mid-season dip from the team. How the team's performing.
I think Chad's comment here is pretty big as well. Right after this one, Lamb is already expensive. He's a Cowboy, hard to 2x, 3x. CD's prices are kind of expensive for me, especially. Yes, I still think the passing volume is going to be high, but you lose Kellen Moore, and I think McCarthy's going to want to run it more. There are some DeAndre Hopkins rumors to Dallas out there. I don't think that's going to happen, but still, I actually think Dak is good. I do. He just sucks in the playoffs, and there's always just this hype and disappointment with the Cowboys. CD's kind of a tough flip. Now his auto, Andy, is very unique. The big hoop right there in the middle. I'm a stickler for a sexy auto, and his are pretty cool. But I don't know about CD. His prices are pretty high, and he was good last year. He was pretty good. Drafted him fairly well on Underdog Fantasy if I'm like at the 1.11 or 1.12. Let's go to GG, a new QuestCaster. Should I grade Genesis cards? Also, is there a market for Houston Oilers cards? Andy, let's focus on the first. I'm pretty sure he's referencing here Genesis Mosaic cards.
Hey, 100%. Examine it closely, GG. Look for surface conditions. You want to look for dimples, print lines, scratches on the surface. If you find that kind of stuff, honestly, I wouldn't submit it. I would, I'd resell it raw. But if the corners look great, the edges, the color and the finish on the top of the card is constant all the way to the very edge. There's no whitening, like little blemishes there on the edges, and the corners are crisp and clean, and you don't find those surface conditions, 100%, because Genesis is a rare card. They're very popular. They're very desirable within the hobby. You get that back as a PSA 10. All of a sudden, you're adding 3 to 5x value on what you could sell that card for. So that makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah, Genesis, from what I've heard, Andy, from people that submit a lot, it's hard to grade because it is such a interesting design as far as like centering and all that stuff is concerned. But yeah, examine that pretty well. Houston Oilers cards. It's very interesting. So I'm guessing you're referencing like Warren Moon cards. If you got a rare patch Warren Moon auto, hit me up. I'm more than interested in looking at that. I don't have a Warren Moon card yet. I don't know, Andy. I guess that's what GG is referencing here.
Yeah, I guess so. I would say, if you're talking about like 90s, when did the Houston Oilers cease to exist? Wasn't that like the late 90s, early 2000s?
I think so. And then the Texans came around like mid 2000s.
Yeah. So, yeah, okay. Houston Oilers, 1960 to 1996. So the stuff from like 90 or like 89 to 96 is not going to be worth much unless you have like a very rare insert. There were some rare inserts, but all that was the junk wax period where they printed hundreds of thousands of copies of all those base cards from like 89 to 96 or 90 to 96, like really when it started getting But it was at its peak. So, but stuff going back to like the 60s, 70s, oh yeah, there's a big market for those kind of vintage cards. And then it becomes grade chasing because there's only, 2, maybe 3 different cards, back then. A lot of cases, just one. Like there's a clear one card, like Walter Payton's rookie card. There's like clearly one card, and that you can point to, and then it becomes all about grade chasing. So if you find those cards in good condition, get them submitted, get something that's like higher than a 6 or a 7, like 8, 9s, and 10s are pretty valuable.
I have a bunch of these 70s cards, and actually I just pulled like a stack of like 6 of them, and 4 of them were Oilers, Andy. So let me know, have you ever heard of Tony Fritsch? Look at that single bar right there. Any Tony Fritsch fans? How about Greg with 2 G's Bingham? Look at that. This is hot right here. Highest bidder. Get a Greg Bingham card. All right. Look at this mustache afro combination. Billy Johnson. And we got Ronnie Coleman, running back. Let's see.
Nice.
He had 660 yards in 1977. You want it, GG. I will sell all of these. These are Jim Mint 10. I'll sell all of these for $1,000 just for you. Kidding. But yeah, White Shoes. There you go, Billy White. That is Billy White Shoes Johnson. Look at that. Look at that. I like that, Steven. I just had a stack of these just sitting right over here. Houston Oilers. I did not think that was going to be a thing. All right, Andy, I'll let you pick the next comment before we get into tip of the week here.
Sure. I picked this one from James. He's asking, is my view on CD change if Hopkins lands in Dallas? I mean, it changed a little bit from a 2023 outlook, but not from a dynasty outlook. I think Hopkins got a ton of juice this year. Like this is the thing. Like there's clearly like an arms race right now between the Bills and the Chiefs. I think are the primary landing spots, like, contenders for DeAndre Hopkins. But if you were Hopkins, you've made millions of dollars. Why not go to a spot that gives you the highest opportunity to win a ring? That's what he doesn't have. And if he's trying to get into the Hall of Fame, I mean, he's fringe just based on statistics alone. If he gets a ring, that definitely goes a long way. He's still got a ton of juice. And it's not so much from, I was looking at his statistics, Carter. It's not so much from a separation standpoint. He wasn't generating a ton of separation, but defenders were giving him the highest cushion in the NFL last year. So I think that he's still got a ton of respect from defenders, and he's still great at the point of catch, and he's still a great route runner. So he's a guy that's going to walk onto a team, and if he goes to the Chiefs, right, he's probably not going to beat Travis Kelce in targets, but outside Travis Kelce, yeah, he's going to be their alpha wide receiver. Like you can, go ahead and all your Kadarius Toney pipe dreams can go out the window. Even though I think that he's a guy that's overhyped right now, anyways. But yeah, I think those are the best spots for him. Yeah, I think you've got to devalue guys like Stephon Diggs if he goes to the Bills, CeeDee Lamb if he goes to the Cowboys, but not by much. Not by much. Those guys are still going to eat, And in CeeDee Lamb's case, the guy's so young. He's got such a bright career ahead of him on the Cowboys that, I mean, from long-term perspective, I'm still bullish.
I love it. Let's keep it moving here. Before we get to hobby tip of the week, we always like to answer first-timer questions. Colvu. What a name. When grading no, go ahead, Andy.
Oh, go ahead. I thought you were teeing me up to read his comment there.
It's yours. Go ahead, man.
He said, when grading Panini Phoenix Fireburst card, do the refractor print lines affect the overall grade? Granted, that corner's edge surface looks good. Yeah, so PSA does overlook some print lines, especially if it's a known print line that's printed on all the cards. Like the Kaboom, for example, has a print line on all of them. There's also, I think Downtown is another one that has a print line, or like Dragon Scale is another prime example that has a print line. Like it's just a commonplace print line that gets printed in the design of the card. So what I would do though, to confirm this, is go pull up the same player, the same Fireburst card in a PSA 10 grade, find a good picture of it on eBay, and compare it to the raw one you're looking at to see if the print line's in the same spot. If you can, that'll be your best time. But I do know this from talking to a lot of guys that PSA overlooks print lines on a lot of sets.
Also, Colvu, I highly recommend to go back and listen to, the first part of this about rarity and all that stuff. I would make sure any Phoenix Fireburst card that I'm sending into grade is one that is truly going to be coveted by collectors. That is truly rare. That is truly going to be something that someone, if I'm a Joe Burrow collector, I gotta have it. I absolutely gotta have it. Because this is always the thing. And this is going to go back to hobby tip of the week here, and it's going to tie in. I know I make this my hobby tip of the week at least 4 or 5 times during the year, but I think Derek, who's one of my really good friends now, was chatting with me about this not too long ago. It is so much harder to sell a card than buy a card. That is my hobby tip of the week, and this would be my point to anybody. How many people out there do you think walk into a card show and says, you know what I'm looking for today? I'm looking for Panini Fireburst cards. I'm looking for Panini Phoenix Fireburst cards. How many people do you know, Andy, that you think say that?
No, not many. It's
Not many.
One of those situations where it's like, oh, it's it's such as, for example, it's Jordan Love Panini Fireburst. You want to sell that for $20? Okay. Now I'm getting a deal on it. Now I'll take it, kind of thing.
Right. So to follow up here, Colvu, thanks guys. I just had some J Loves and T Law that I was thinking of sending in. Well, this is what I would say. Are they rare? Okay. There's plenty. T Law is probably top 10 quarterback in the league, probably top 5 collectible quarterback in the league right now. All right. So think about Trevor Lawrence. You know how many cards of him are out there? So many. That probably more of him than any other elite quarterback that we have in the game right now, especially considering this last draft class wasn't that great. So yeah, if you want to send it in personally, go for it, right? If it's for your collection, go for it. Okay. If you don't care the flip value, go for it. But if it's for you to gain value on the card for Panini Phoenix Fireburst, it's just there's not going to be the ROI that you're looking for. And Andy, to be honest, Phoenix just never really took off for a lot of different reasons.
No, it didn't. But I'll say the one good thing about it, the one pro, is 60% PSA 10 hit rate on the raw ones. You can kind of see even it does look like there's that, that print line, which is very similar to the print line you see in a Dragon scale, which PSA does overlook. So, yeah, but I mean, you gotta like reverse engineer it, right? Jordan Love. I mean, how much could you possibly see this card going up to? He'd really have to go out and exceed expectations in a big way in September. And then all of a sudden that card, maybe you see it get up closer to $100. But at the same time, reverse engineering how much money you got in the cards, $20 to get it graded. What are your chances of getting a 10? Just those things you just talked about, Carter. How desirable is it? Of course, PSA 10 is going to help any card, but at the same time, is it going to help it enough to really make it worth your while? And then if it doesn't come back a 10, you really just wasted your time and money.
Your hobby tip of the week, Andy?
Well, you talked about, selling cards. I love that. I want to parlay off of your comment by saying that if you buy cards, whether it's in person, like even if it's in person, if you're not making a cash transaction and you can't visibly confirm the card that you're getting right in front of you, if it's not in person, then you should always use buyer's protection. And I would stick with PayPal. I would stick with PayPal or Venmo and use goods and services, buyer protection. I don't care if you know this person pretty well. If you feel like you can trust them, Just use goods and services, make it a standard operating procedure, standard practice, because things could, even if you know this person and you trust them, something could get lost in the mail. Something could get lost in the mail, and it may not necessarily be the seller's fault. But in most cases, like there could be something, it could be the seller's fault, right? It could, this person could be a bad person that you accidentally trusted. So just always, regardless, like if they can't accept that, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm saying walk away. I don't care how good the deal is. If they cannot do goods and services with buyer protection, that should be a red flag, and you should walk away.
If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Always know that as well. And go to shows. If you have the opportunity to go to a show, obviously check to see if the show is still going on and see how many tables and all that stuff. You're going to see how much better the hobby is when you actually go to shows. Okay. So there you go. Now, Andy, it is time for play of the week. I'm going to let you go first, man.
Oh man, I love this one. So I gotta come up with a play to top the Geno Smith play from earlier.
Oh,
but here's a good one for you. Actually, I love this guy's value. I'm finding myself getting a ton of exposure to him, and it's for multiple reasons. And it's Brandon Ayuk on the San Francisco 49ers. Ooh. I mean, because when I look at Brandon Ayuk's profile, it's very different than that of Deebo Samuel. Brandon Ayuk's profile leads him to being a true alpha wide receiver, whereas Deebo has really excelled in this gadget role, this mix of being a hybrid running back. When you look at Deebo's wide receiver statistics, Brandon Ayuk's got him beat, man. Brandon Ayuk's got him beat, and I think you already saw the news reports from Brock Purdy. He's already throwing the ball. They're bullish. He potentially start week 1. That may be smoke and mirrors, and it may be Trey Lance, but either way, I'm still very bullish on Brandon Ayuk short and long term. He's still on a rookie contract. He's got great draft capital. I think he was an early second-round draft pick from 2020. The guy's got really long arms. He's got great separation. He's a good route runner. He's got good speed. Actually, he's an end of the first-round draft pick, so he's even got that first-round draft capital. And at 25 years old, and the guy's still able to put up over 1,000 receiving yards last year. I think he continues to get better. I'm looking at his rookie ticket autos right now of $15. $15. I get it that CeeDee Lamb, 175, Justin Jefferson, 250 for a reason. But this young man, I think, should at least have 50 to 60. There's no reason that Brandon Ayuk's rookie ticket auto price should be cheaper than that of guys like Gabriel Davis. I mean, come on, man. You ask me who I want between Brandon Ayuk and Gabe Davis, I'll take Brandon Ayuk all day.
Ooh. Brandon Ayuk from the depths. I'm going to give you one that's going to be a little galaxy brain. And I understand earlier I said what I said about the Cowboys. But a few years ago, all right, there's a guy who bursted on the scene for the Cowboys. His name is Trevon Diggs. Okay, he's a corner. And once again, defensive players, they don't generate the same kind of hobby love. Once again, you got to make sure you get a pretty good price on a Trevon Diggs, something for you to turn it into something. But Diggs is going to be opposite Stephon Gilmore, and that means Diggs is going to get targeted more, and he's going to have this next year more interceptions. You're going to see more of those big INT games from him next year. If you can get any kind of auto under 20, people love them. Trevon Diggs. We saw what did his prices get up to, Andy, a few years ago when he had, just those massive interception games? It was in the hundreds, right?
Yeah, his rookie ticket autos, just like the base ones, were in that $100 range.
Right.
After that stretch of a few games where I think he went 3-4 games with at least one interception in every game.
Right.
And his stuff went off the chain, man. So yeah, I like that play because right now is a great time to buy a guy like him. I mean, great time.
But once again, I don't look at his stuff all the time, but I was just thinking, I was like, where did Stephon Gilmore go We went to the Cowboys, right? So now Diggs is going to get targeted more. He'll be able to, jump more passing lanes, and you might see some of those crazy Trevon Diggs games next year. Once again, it would need to be under 20 for me to even consider buying a Trevon Diggs. So look, 2150 right there from Taiwan. So $30, 35 out the door. A little high for me, but still. I trust me, since we've talked quarterback so much, I was just trying to think of something. It's not my favorite one of the world, but still, I like the Gilmore fit in Dallas, and I like that Trevon Diggs is going to be a little bit more aggressive. We know the pass rush for Dallas is going to be very good next year. Quarterbacks get rid of it. Diggs jumps some passing lanes. Watch the frick out. Or you could just go get Stephon Gilmore rookie ticket autos. I actually looked this up during the episode. I saw one sell for $15. This is a 5-time Pro Bowl corner towards the end of his career. So once again, it's a defensive player play. It's not something that's going to make you a millionaire by any stretch of the imagination, but I like this Dallas defense going into next year.
That Dallas defense is scary good, man. That's going to be a very competitive division there at the NFC. The NFC East is looking absolutely loaded. I mean, it's looking like the best division in the NFC right now on paper heading in. And definitely going to be some contenders coming out of there to face the AFC. Obviously, you got one Super Bowl contender coming out of there. I saw a comment in the chat earlier. I can't remember who it was from, Carter, but it was around asking what Lamar Jackson's prices are doing right now. He's definitely has some high-end collectors after his stuff. I think he's teed up for a monster season. I mean, he's teed up on paper to have an MVP season, Carter. I don't know if a lot of people realize that through his first 4 games last season, he was on pace to have a better season than his 2019 MVP season. And then they just fizzled out. I mean, it was a lack of weapons, lack of Greg Roman's offense getting stale, Lamar Action Jackson getting banged up. So it was a litmus of reasons that offense fizzled out last year. But man, the start to his season last year was incredible. People were getting hyped up and excited about his cards. He was the MVP winner from 2019. And now they've added weapons. And they've also brought in Ted Monken, who's an incredible offensive mind, offensive coordinator. So I'm excited. I think Lamar Jackson's got a lot of potential this year to get back to that MVP type of season. And especially with him passing more, I think that he's got a higher chance of staying healthy throughout the entire season, which is good for his rookie cards as well.
Yeah, and Lamar does a good job not taking big hits. A lot of his injuries actually came from the pocket. But yeah, you do want him to run less and play a little bit more from there. And I do agree. I mean, Todd Monken was the best play caller in all of college football last year. Now he had the best players, but he was sensational. One of the best offensive play callers I've seen, and he's been around for a while. So once again, if you are looking to buy Lamar like you're doing right now, Andy, I would always compare his prices to Josh Allen. Use that discrepancy and say to yourself, how much better is Josh Allen than Lamar Jackson? Their print runs and pop counts, they're not going to be, the exact same, but they're going to be somewhat similar. And that strategy, Andy, to me, it's not always just perfectly sound, but it is a good thing to use if you are looking to buy Lamar.
Yeah, and I think he's going to become more known better for his passing acumen. I think that he's shown a lot of promise in the passing department, the passing arena. So I think that his passing game is going to be as good as it's ever been in his career this year. And if that's the case, he's got the mobility just to extend plays and dodge defenders. I mean, man, the sky really could be the limit to where if that team is actually winning games and on a track, I mean, it's going to be tough, right? It's going to be tough, a tough division there with the Bengals and the Steelers. So, and the Browns. So it's like tough division, but at the same time, they've got the pieces in place. He's got the skill, the talent, This could be a career season for him, and watch out because I mean, look at 2019. A lot of what he's known for in 2019 were all those touchdown passes he threw. I mean, he led the league in touchdown passes, if I remember correctly.
So once again, the show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Type in the promo code QUEST to get you a little bonus right there. You could type in my promo code Carter. Either one works. Andy, I need your help on this. All right. I just joined another puppy draft. Okay. I am in the 1.4, and the first picks, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Christian McCaffrey. Okay. So here we go. Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Travis Kelce, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown. I have been in the 1.4 quite a bit. Where I don't think I've taken Tyreek Hill yet. So who
got to take Tyreek Hill. I'm taking Tyreek Hill almost every time over Cooper Kupp.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, man. It's just it's Tyreek. Just Mike McDaniels is such a good play caller. Mike McDaniels is a better play caller than Sean McVay, in my opinion. And I think that Mike McDaniels is there's just he's setting up Tyreek Hill for massive success. And it doesn't matter if now I would prefer Tua to be healthy and out there on the field because he was incredibly accurate those intermediate passes. But it doesn't matter, man. You put Mike White back there, put Teddy Bridgewater, Skylar Thompson, whoever you got, man, put them back there and let Mike McDaniels scheme up the routes for Tyreek Hill. He's going to get open, and he's going to get the ball in his hands, and he's going to score a lot of fantasy points, man. So, yeah, I'm betting on the upside of Tyreek Hill over Cooper Kupp.
I've already done so many like Kelce Mahomes kind of stacks. So it looks like the chat says I should go Kelce over Hill and then see if I could stack Mahomes in the second. Or what you could do is I could draft Tyreek, or I could draft Travis Kelce and then get the week 17 correlation and get T. Higgins and then get Joe Burrow later. Right? You could do that as well. So what are we doing, Andy? I'm going to let you choose Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce.
If you don't have any and you're doing multiple drafts, it's not like this is your only draft. You're doing multiple drafts. I would go ahead and smash the button on Tyreek Hill because there's a good chance Patrick Mahomes is not going to fall back to you. I've seen him and Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen go as early as like the 2.3, 2.4 range. So with you at the number 4 overall pick, it's not going to come back around you till, the 2.8. So you could miss out. Like there's some people just don't even consider stacking. Like I had a guy that, and some people almost think of it like as a defensive strategy. I was in a draft yesterday where the guy literally took Dak Prescott when he didn't have any Cowboys on his roster, and he took him like in the 9th round, one pick before me. And I think he did it just to spite me. Maybe I sniped one of his guys earlier, and maybe he wanted to play defensive and not let me get my stack because I had CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks. So I really wanted Dak Prescott. There's no reason why he shouldn't have fallen to me there, but the guy took him one pick before me. So I wouldn't bank on being able to get that stack off. I would go with the upside in Tyreek Hill. Worst case scenario, you can get Tua way late. And the thing is, like, answer this for me, Carter. If Tua is healthy all 17 weeks this year, is he not a top 15 quarterback based on his stats from last year when he was healthy? I mean, he was extremely relevant, extremely fantasy relevant, putting up a ton of fantasy points on a weekly basis in the passing game. And if he's healthy and on the field, he's all of a sudden a borderline QB1, a borderline top 12 quarterback. So getting him like in the double-digit rounds, I had to go and look and see where he was taken yesterday. But getting him that late is such a good value, man. And you could almost say the same thing for his rookie cards. Like, I don't spend your whole bankroll on it, but if you can find a rookie ticket auto for now, we're talking $100 or something compared to, Jalen Hurts $750, and those other guys, like, There's a lot of upside there if he is in fact stays healthy the whole year. I know it scares you with the concussions and everything, but if he is healthy that whole year, man, watch out.
All right, we're getting some Tyreek exposure, baby. Tyreek Hill is selected. I've been smashing so much Travis Kelsey in the 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 range that it just makes too much sense. And I really wish I would have gone all in on collecting Travis Kelsey cards. Andy, I know I discussed it with you privately before because I just love 2013 designs. Um, Travis Kelsey, after football, is going to be so big. I don't know exactly what he's going to do, but I think I think he's just going to be such a huge star hosting TV shows. I think he's got potential to be even bigger than Michael Strahan after his career is over. And Strahan hosts, Good Morning America. So yeah, I think Travis Kelsey's post playing career is just going to be absolutely insane. Like and he's just cool. He's just a cool dude as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I think he's still got a lot of potential. 2023, but man, he's so good at reading defenses on the fly, and the chemistry between him and Mahomes is just legendary at this point. So it's like, man, I think he's great investment, short and long term. I mean, there's such a big gap between him and all the other tight ends. It's not even funny now.
so I guess I probably should. I mean, you just know Kelsey's gonna hit. You just know it, and you got
but Tyreek Hill's going to hit too. I mean, we know he's going to hit at this point too. So I think it makes sense to diversify, right? So this puppy, you got the 1.4, you go with Hill. Next time you get Kelsey. Your next 1.4, you get Kelsey.
Man, I'm having long discussions internally about Jonathan Taylor, and I love Shot. I really do. I love Shot. He's top 5 people I've met, doing this fun venture with you, Andy. But man, there's just something about this that just makes me queasy about Jonathan Taylor going into next year. I don't know exactly what that is because he's going to have a good offensive line and all of that, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm still fading him at the current price tag. I don't think he's gotten quite cheap enough. I also don't think that the Colts are gonna have a great win-loss record. I think they'll be decent and they're gonna win. I don't know, maybe 6-7 games, but I definitely think there's gonna be some struggles there. And Jonathan Taylor, hey, I get it, man. He was incredible in 2021, especially after the way he finished his rookie season. But he missed 6 games last year, ankles a couple times, high ankles, but I mean, it's nothing major. But still, with rookie quarterback coming in, new offensive coordinator, I mean, look at this. If you're getting him in the second round, his cards aren't like as much as Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey, these guys, but at the same time, you are paying a premium. Like his rookie ticket autos, I think I clocked them like at $60 or something like that. So I think you could wait to the third round and get guys that are very comparable to him. $50 for his rookie ticket auto. Like if I can have the choice between Najee Harris on the Pittsburgh Steelers and Jonathan Taylor on the Indianapolis Colts, I'm going with Najee Harris for the same price. I'm just going with Najee Harris for the same price. And then I look in the fantasy draft and I'm like, oh, I can get Najee Harris in the third round instead of having to pay early second round for Jonathan Taylor. Like I'll just I'll get a second wide receiver in the second round and then get Najee Harris in the third. And that's actually exactly what I did in this draft. But it just feels so right to me to pass on Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley for that matter. Maybe not Nick Chubb. I definitely want to have some exposure there to Nick Chubb in the second. I think he's teed up for a monster year. But look, even Derrick Henry at the end of the second, Carter, and he's still got juice. And then you got Najee, and there's Josh Jacobs, which not a whole lot's changed for him since last year. So it's like he's devalued, he's undervalued. So Yeah, I mean, I think Jonathan Taylor a little bit too expensive compared to the alternatives right now.
I love it, man. But yes, mark my words. I am finishing. I this is a challenge for myself. I am making at least 1K in puppies this year. I'm making it. It's going. I'm speaking it into existence. Um, so there you go. Now, here's a good thing. You can join the Football Card Patreon by clicking the link down below. That gets you access to the Keep 'em. That gets you access to Andy and myself. You can shoot us DMs whenever. Um, so yeah, I highly recommend you check it out. It also helps Andy. You saw that research right there. The data is just absolutely insane right here on the Football Card Quest. Andy, we'll see you next Tuesday, man. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Let's
Peace out,
go.
everybody.
Appreciate
Let's
you
go.
guys.
See you. Cheers. Let's go.